Welcome to Lobster Magnets Review, the channel of the review. I'm here with my buddy Gorogregoro, and we are here to talk about Chapter 13 of Dr. Stone,
Yeah,
the primeval, manga about a little
primeval
guy.
manga about
I was trying to come up with a good tagline about it, about how it's like the Paleolithic primeval manga of survival or whatever. Kind of messed up.
Paleolithic primeval manga about survival.
So, before we had the startling revelation in our last attempt to try and do this video. Dr. Stone, I was kind of like, in some ways this is like a chapter that's like returning back to what I like about the series. Just this kid stuck in a world where he has to like build everything from scratch and, kind of like retread technological civilization one step at a time. But this is not the point where we should be getting this fucking story about his backstory. The point in the very first chapter where Seku like shows like Endurance Guy that he's like built up this entire civilization while he was gone, waiting for him to revive. That at that point that made everything we're seeing now mute. Like, if we were going to get this story, we should have gotten it a few chapters ago where it's like, oh, Seku, how did you survive on your own? And then he learns a story, then he tells him this backstory. We don't need this fucking backstory now. There's, like, nothing interesting we're going to learn from this fucking backstory. This is shit we've already seen before. It makes me pissed. It makes me pissed because it's, like, a redundant thing of, stuff that we've already seen before, and it doesn't help.
But at what point in the story you think it should have been before all these events occurred?
Yeah, it should have been before the super world's strongest primate. We should have gotten this before that, for it to feel relevant and important.
I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that though. I think it's like it's sort of giving us a little bit, makes us feel more emotionally attached to the character as he's like in his deathbed, sort
attached to him, because he was like the smart guy, he's the scientist guy. It's like, he's the only one who's going to rebuild civilization. The fucking girl isn't, and now we learn her superpower. It's arts and crafts. That's what she's.
I remember. Yeah, that's what the chapter said. Her ridiculous arts and crafts skills, cheating level arts and crafts.
Cheating level knitting.
Cheating level arts and crafts ability.
It's like, oh god, god, she's really not going to do anything. She's not going to be like.
I love that actually. Like, I hope they actually, he says that if he,
okay, then let's see her like knit like a scarf. It's like so powerful it stops a dam.
My god, a scarf so powerful stitching. That stops a dam. I've never seen this level of stitching before.
Oh my god, this is 48 stitch. I can't believe it. Most people can only manage 12 stitch. He's faster than a machine.
Yeah. Well, maybe she'll add, culture to the civilization. Maybe she'll add, there's something to be said about arts and culture in a civilization sometimes. Adds a little bit of flair and happiness to it. It's like the cheerful bard character, and like, or it's like, what's his name? Brook from One Piece, plays the happy little music and everyone's happy and cheerful.
Like, the only useful thing I could see is like, oh my god, we need to go to the snowy mountains of Japan. Excuse me. We need to go to the snowy mountains of Japan. How will we ever survive in the snow? Oh, it's cheat level arts and crafts girl. She knit us sweaters and
Oh dear.
That's the only way I could see her, like, having a legitimate superpower in this world. But like, so Greg, tell me why you like this chapter, because like, to me it's a 6 out of 10. That's me being generous. It was completely redundant. Like on its own it's kind of cute and charming, but this is like shit we've already seen, shit we don't need to see. They need to go on to bigger problems like building irrigation and reviving more people and rebuilding civilization.
Yeah. I agree with that. I mean, right now the main storyline is just so it's just so heavy right now. It's like it's involving a character death already, potential character death. He's probably going to get revived. So This is kind of just like a little bit more lighthearted and going back to, like you said, the roots of the story, which I enjoy these parts of the story, even if it is a little bit out of timeline. It is sort of like in context of like what's happening right now in the main story. It's just like, okay, we're taking a breather from all the dramatic shit that's happened, and we're just getting like a nice, good, lighthearted sense of like what this manga used to be before it tried to do something so dramatic and so way beyond what it probably should have done in the first place.
I mean, I guess that's one argument, but like, Greg, you like the Soul Society arc of Bleach, right?
Yes, I
Did you
did.
like the Soul Society arc when we got it again in Hueco Mundo?
That is different. This would be like a flashback to the Soul Society arc, which I enjoyed. I would enjoy that better than Hueco Mundo, to be honest. If they did like a whole arc based on like the flashbacks of fucking Soul Society, I would have liked that better than Hueco Mundo, honestly.
I don't know. What disturbs me is that this feels like like it's repeating itself, and it's way too early in the series lifespan to be like fucking repeating its like first few very limited successes. And it's like, this better be over by like halfway through the second chapter. Like, obviously, I'm not jumping ship. I'm still intrigued enough, but like, we need to get on to the next big thing.
Of course, this is like a breather chapters. All the heavy drama in the series so far is just like it's been too much, and like it's like, so early too.
I don't know how this is gonna justify reviving him. How is this gonna like make reviving him relevant?
That's fair. I mean, I'm hoping there's gonna be some kind of artistic way they do it to make it seem like there were consequences, yet we should just move on with the rest of the series and enjoy ourselves reading it or whatnot.
Hopefully. Well, who knows? Maybe he'll be paralyzed like you want.
I do want him to be paralyzed, though. I think that would be very significant.
Like, if he is paralyzed, then I will give them all the balls in the world. That would be so amazing and dramatic. Like, that would be like balls of steel to basically have him become a cripple in this world where being a cripple is like the worst thing that could possibly happen. But, let's talk about the elephant in the room, the gangster monkeys.
The gangster monkeys. Let me go back to...
I'm wondering if that's like how it's written in Japan, the Japanese text, or if that's just like the translators being funny, the scanlators, oh, who are you, sucker?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with those monkeys in that translation. I thought that was a little bit racist.
Well, yeah, because like there are many different levels of racism, and I think one of the deepest and darkest and most dehumanizing and degrading ones is like comparing black people to like monkeys. I think that's like the most offensive thing you could fucking do, because it like dehumanizes them and makes them subhuman. So that's why I kind of like found that like in some ways it's almost more offensive than the N word, despite the fact that the N word being like the prime super racist thing. But it's like old timey racism. It's like let's go to Africa and bring them back and put them in cages and put them on display kind of racism.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, maybe it could be possibly a mistranslation kind of thing. Like, maybe he's just like, the monkeys are supposed to be, talking in some kind of like dumb slang or something. And
it's a cute idea, though. The fact that like the monkeys are like, oh, who's this guy? Who's this monkey? Oh, this monkey thinks he's so smart. He's such a stupid monkey. He's doing all this stupid shit. He's just banging rocks. But it's like, I'm the superior monkey. I'm the king of the monkeys because I'm using civilization powers.
Like, you imagine like a monkey's like speech patterns inside their brain wouldn't be like too articulate to begin with. Like, you wouldn't expect like perfect articulation in a monkey brain, but Yeah, I don't know. It's just.
I guess thought it was funnier with the the expressions the monkeys give, because the sort of like, oh, monkeys are like thugging out or some bullshit, but like obviously there's a huge cultural thing as to why that's like very 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 offensive and wrong.
Have you read anything about this like in forums at all?
The worst I've seen is like just maybe some comment chapters of people saying like, wow, this is weird. Why are they talking like in gangster black people? No one's really like, there hasn't been like a think piece talking about like why this should be like burned at the stake. And Dr. Stone isn't popular enough to like warrant that yet.
Yeah, I could see that.
Just like how Sister Crone is kind of like problematic, and I'm sure like once Promised Neverland gets its anime adaptation, we're going to be seeing videos and people talking about that more outside of like the insular community. But Sister Crone gets her ultimate redemption by giving the William Minerva pen and like kind of becoming this tragic figure. Obviously, that's not going to extend to these monkeys who are just there for like shits and giggles. We're probably never going to see them after this chapter.
Yeah, I think that it's just like supposed to be some really dumb, silly thing that they added just to, it's to make it so they have like sort of essentially joke characters that Senku can interact with.
Yeah,
while he's like building civilization on his own and like going through trial and error.
This is like a pretty lighthearted chapter, is like especially considering the last ones have been much more dramatic and intense, and so you're right in the sense that this is definitely like meant to be like a breather chapter. It's like obviously meant to be the start of like the second volume, and it's like designed to like introduce new readers into the world of Dr. Stone. Because like there's so much to catch up on. Past 12 chapters, like how are they gonna in the absolute riot of shit that's gone down?
Yeah, I'm just I don't know. I like this chapter just because of the getting away from all the drama that was happening earlier, and like figuring out how to resolve that drama right away sometimes I feel like can be a mistake in terms of writing out these things.
In some ways I could agree with that, but in this context I don't, because like there's not a lot of drama. The story's still relatively simple. We only have like 4 principal characters. They're basically isolated from any form of civilization. The world of Dr. Stone is just a jungle. And apocalyptic ruins, and when the world's that small, it's best to like keep on expanding that world and introducing new problems and conflicts. So I don't really think we needed this break. I think we needed to like move on to like what the next big thing in Dr. Stone is.
Maybe. Oh yeah. I don't know. If I were to rate this chapter, I'd say I'd give it an 8.
You're very generous, and in some ways I could see that why you go that high. But to me, it's a 6 out of 10.
Okay.
It's redundant. Doesn't really move things forward. It's kind of cute on its own, but it's like shit we don't need to see at this point. Like I would have liked this chapter much more if we got it earlier in the manga. If like endurance guys like how did you survive on your own for 6 months, as opposed to like in the very first pilot chapter introducing the science guy and being like, I've rebuilt civilization. Check it out, and look at all the stuff I've made while you were gone.
Yeah.
It's like at that single panel basically said that like, I made all this stuff. We don't need to go over how. I've been busy. We don't need a backstory. Like we don't need in a Batman movie a backstory to how Batman like made the Batarang or some new gadget.
Sometimes those things can be interesting. Those little quips of like, oh, this is how I made the Batarang. Sometimes it's just like there's little tiny fascinating stories behind how the characters got to such and such point, and it can be a nice break, I think, sometimes from the main story. It
can be. it can be, but like at this point in the series, we need to move on.
You think it's too early in the series, or maybe it should have been this thing should have been like a flashback that we should have saw earlier in the story.
Yeah. Because like this is generally the stuff I'd like to see in Doctor Stone, but like I want to see them like learn how to plant stuff. I want to see them learn how to farm animals and like that's a good conflict. Like everything that mankind has domesticated is now feral and wild. So
Wait,
how do you get dogs back?
You do understand though, like the reason why everything like that revolves around this manga, or is like why they do all this problem solving to begin with is all because of Senku. He's like the main motivating force behind all of that.
True, and we don't need to see how he got to where he was. We need to see him tackle new problems.
We need to get him healed, though. He has to be healed.
Then they put the stupid potion on him. They get rid of the petrification on his back neck. Bam, he's healed. Let's move on with it. We don't need like a 3 or 4 chapter backstory to get him healed.
There's gotta be a little bit of time. Needs time to heal.
It's the only way any of this is justified is if he comes back, but he can't move his body and he's like paralyzed.
That's exactly what I would really love to see, and I'm hoping that's the case. I'm hoping there's
If it built up to that, then 10 out of 10, super ballsy move. I like it when characters get mutilated and, disabled.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, if we're only seeing, this level, then obviously I'm pissed. And, it's like revive him, move on with it. Let's get back to building civilization.
Because once this character is healed, then, the rest of the story can move along. I think he is basically the main motivating force as why this manga was like really interesting to begin with.
He is like definitely like the signature character. Like I don't think anyone wants to like.
Can you imagine if Taiju and his girlfriend would like strike out on their own and try and do the manga? They'd just be like fail horribly at like rebuilding civilization. They'd just make it like a little campfire and just like hang out there for the rest of their lives.
And then it would just be like, oh my god, 70 chapters of will they, won't they? When is he going to confess his love? When are they going to start fucking and making babies? Oh, never, because this is a shonen manga, and God forbid we should actually have someone in a committed couple.
You know what this kind of reminds me of a little bit? He said that he wouldn't confess his love until after civilization was rebuilt and stuff like that. So it's kind of like. Does it remind you a little bit of Bakuman? Where it's like he confesses his love to his girlfriend and he's like...
Yeah, and then they won't be together until...
Our dreams come true.
Yeah, a little bit. But I feel like if I was actually like willing to do the research and like figure it out, you'd find a whole bunch of like mangas where they have like a romantic pairing, but they won't commit their love until like some
crazy goal happens.
Exactly. That's like... coincides with the end of the series.
I don't know. I feel like there's not too many mangas like that.
No, I feel like there
where the goals are very specific. Like sometimes you'll feel like, oh, I'm just not, I'm just not ready to pursue that relationship or something like that, or I'm just too scared or too cowardly. I have to be more manly in some way. But there's like actually a specific goal. There's something like Bakuman or something like this, where it's like, okay, we just need to rebuild civilization, and then
there's always some big insurmountable goal. And that's like the reason why. Oh, I can't confess until blah blah blah, until I do this or blah blah blah. Like romantic relationships in shonen manga are the worst because it's all supposed to be about big flashy battles. The girls are just there to like, kind of be like sex objects or big sisters that like, oh my god, it's so cool. She likes this character, so my parasocial relationship dictates that she likes me too. So I feel like I have this friend who's like a big busty girl. Isn't it awesome? And very, very, very rarely will you see like a committed couple in a whatchamacallit. in a shonen manga, and in some ways it makes sense. Like this is basically like the ultimate boys' adventure story. That's what these mangas are. That's ultimately what it's designed to be, and that's not exactly romance, unless it's some sort of harem series about like girls throwing fan service at the character with hilarious misunderstandings happening. But it is kind of bullshitty. I mean, obviously, I'm not coming to Dr. Stone like, oh my god, will they? Won't they? I don't give a shit. Assume most people reading this probably don't give a shit. But I don't know. To me, it would be really funny to see a manga with like a couple that's like just starts out in a couple, and it's like there's no bullshit about it. They're just like a couple. A really funny romantic comedy would be like. If there's like this couple, but then like everyone else is angry and like trying to conspire to like break them up.
Yeah, well, that could be kind of funny.
That would be great. Their coupleness just pisses off everyone. So everyone in the series, like just everything they can to like make sure that they can't be together.
That'd be kind of interesting. That'd be like a funny. Like sort of comedy kind of manga, gag manga.
If I was about to do a romantic comedy, that'd be the basis of my story, which I probably could do, but I don't want to spend the money on getting the art done. So fuck that noise. Who knows? Maybe someday. Maybe I'll win the lottery, and then I'll make that manga come. And then I'll make that manga happen. But because that's probably not going to happen, that manga's never going to exist, and we'll just be stuck with stuff like this, where it's like, I can't confess my love until. Blah, 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 we achieved this impossible goal. And then at the last chapter of the final series, they kiss and then they get married, and then that's it. That's your happy ending. Because God forbid anyone should be in a relationship before the fucking manga ends in the final chapter. That's all that we can get.
Well, I guess it's like it's also trying to appeal to the audience, which is probably young teenagers who have a crush on a girl and stuff, and like, oh, this will be kind of a neat like way to relate to readers and that kind of stuff.
Maybe. I would love to be like a fly on the wall in terms of like, the Shonen Jump editorial department in terms of like what they dictate and like what they say is an acceptable relationship versus what the authors want to do. If there's like, no, they can't be in a couple, no kissing. You can have panty shots. They can like fall in their boots. They can feel them up. They can grope them. They can go and.
But whatever you can't do, you cannot have them in a relationship ever.
They cannot hold hands. They cannot kiss until the final chapter. Kissing is the equivalent of, fucking. So we can't have that. That's filthy. That's filthy crap.
Oh, dear. Yeah.
We don't want to pervert the minds of our youth. But, and we can still have the little sister character, sexually suck on a banana or a lollipop.
Jesus Christ. What's the world come to?
I don't know. I would like murder someone so I could like talk to a Shonen Jump editor and like just figure out all the shit that like goes on behind the scenes. I want to know this so badly of like what the editorial guidelines of like why certain tropes and things are like just happen, because that there are people who probably sit around and have like huge discussions. Occasionally there's like an interview where we get like insights into how much sway the editors have into it. Like the famous story about the Dragon Ball Z editor who kept on telling Toriyama, like, oh, so these are the androids? They suck. It's just a fat guy and old guy? This sucks. What the fuck? These are the villains? They're just a bunch of snot-nosed kids? What the hell is this? This is literally the most famous Dragon Ball Z story, Cell Saga, comes from like one editor just keep on saying like, this isn't a good final villain. This isn't a good final villain. This isn't a good final villain.
So the editor was behind making Cell, essentially?
Yeah, literally. The entire thing was just like Toriyama had no plan. He was going week by week, and then the editor just kept saying like, this villain is shitty. Make another one. This villain is shitty. Make another one. This villain's okay, but make it in better form, and then that's how you got Perfect Cell.
Wow. I actually never seen the Cell Saga. Actually, I'm
surprised you haven't seen it through cultural osmosis and nerddom.
I know. The Frieza Saga I've seen most of. Cell Saga I haven't seen any. I think it's because I didn't have Cartoon Network.
Yeah, that would hurt you. But like that's an example of how much sway an editor can have. And like I just wonder if there's like someone who's like, you like working here at Shonen Jump? Or, you know what, if you want to keep working here,
you better have them not hold hands.
Yeah, they can't admit their love to each other. Even though it's painfully obvious that if human civilization wants, you know, they have to go fuck like bunnies and make lots of babies. But no, we can't talk about that. Oh, yeah. It's weird though, because like they did have that one scene where it was like, oh, I hope he's not like a sex crazed despot when they're like wondering about reviving Primate Guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's weird, like, you know, what you can and can't do in shonen manga. Like the funniest thing was in Bakuman, where like, you know, they like had this implication that like, you remember when Miyoshi and like the writer guy.
Oh. The guy who kind of looked like a fish?
No. That was Hattori. That was the editor guy. Hattori. Like the main pair. The writer guy.
Right. Okay. Those two.
He eventually gets married to her, and then they show them like playing ping pong on their like honeymoon, and it's like, oh man, it's like socially acceptable by most prude standards that they should be like screwing like bunnies. And then there's like only one scene where they like very subtly imply about like having children. It's like, I'm gonna have children, yeah. And then that's like the only implication about them like, you know, screwing around, even though by all intensive standards they should be able. He's like a professional. You know, she helps out with the comic, and you know they're married, so they should go have all the sex that they want, but they still kind of like hide away from it.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Something like that, I feel like you think a little bit deeper about. But...
Well, like I said,
maybe we should bring it back to Dr. Stone.
Yeah, we went off on a huge tangent, talking about standards and practices of shonen manga that we'll never know the answer to unless, you know, we get to go over to Japan and like hijack someone.
I'm just like looking at this page of Dr. Stone right now, and I'm thinking like maybe we got off topic a little bit.
we did, but you know that's what this is all about: interesting rants and tangents. But you know, I was disappointed. I hope next chapter like move things along. You know, I want cool shit to happen. So give me some cool shit.
Yeah, I'm hoping this is the mark of a new beginning to this series, or sort of like revamping from that super intense storyline, and maybe they'll go back to its roots and it'll be better, and hopefully something bad, terrible consequences have happened because of Senku's encounter with Primal Guy.
We'll see. So I think that we've been very long on this very short chapter. 6 out of 10 for me, 8 out of 10 from Gorogregoro. Any other final thoughts?
I think that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe. Hopefully my audio sounds 10 times better. I'm so pissed at myself that I was like wondering why it didn't sound so good. I spent so much money on this Blue Yeti microphone, and then I had to adjust the settings. So we're gonna have some more reviews for you guys. So keep watching the channel. I've got an awesome analysis coming up. Another My Hero Academia, which I'll hopefully have done in the next few days. And like, subscribe, comment. We love hearing from you.
Yeah. Got to move on to the other new chapters. Do reviews of those.
All right. Well, thank you for watching this video. Take it easy.
All right. See ya.